Well. Are you happy? NBA, are you happy? Are you happy? Did you get the result you wanted? The Mavs get screwed out of a game in New Orleans. Let's talk about it.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
We have cracked.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Amazing.
Your team every day.
Still can't eat milk.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everyday or making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Check out our free Locked On Mavs newsletter. Check the QR code and links in the description to follow the show in a bunch of different ways. Today's episode. Why do you got to make me say this, FanDuel? From the first whistle to the final down, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. If your first bet wins, visit FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me, as always, the referee reject, the bad call crooner, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
God, that sucked. Like, it just... Here's my thing. If we have to wait through all of the dumb reviews and all of the stoppage time at the end of games for all of these, like, how many times have we been watching basketball games, not even just basketball games, and we're like, dude, can we just play the rest of the game?
Get on with it, right?
And of all the ways we can stop the game or review crap at the end of the game, you have a clear thing happen. And there's nothing in place.
Mavs lose 119 to 116 to the Pelicans. We'll get into it. We'll talk about, I don't know, some of the good things that happened in this game. Gafford responded in the way that we had hoped. We'll talk about what his game meant. We'll talk about Hardy coming off the bench. His shot has returned. We'll talk about some other things that stood out to us. But we got to start here, Isaac. Here, we got to start with what you just said, because the final play of the game, basically, Jordan Hawkins gets the ball inbounded to him and makes a huge mistake, turns the ball over. PJ Washington gets the ball. The defensive stalwart for the Mavericks gets the ball, throws a incredible cross-court transition pass to Naji Marshall, who had 10 assists in this game, was dishing it out all over the place. Naji Marshall makes the right play, pass it to Dinwiddie, who's streaking on his right side, and Dinwiddie goes up, ball off the backboard. Yves Missi blocks it, or Trey Murphy blocks it. And they just run it, and no call is made by the refs. Nothing. Nobody saw that it went off the backboard. No challenge can be called because there was a no call, and the refs just missed it. They just missed it, and you can't go back and challenge it. And that's what Isaac was saying, where they review all these other things. They go back and they review, was his foot on the line? Was it not on the line? We're going to change the points in this game like 5 minutes after the fact. But you can't go back and look at what just happened because there was no call. How is that possible? How is that what we decided to come to? And the Mavs couldn't challenge it because there was no call too. What's the point of even a challenge if you can't challenge that?
Listen, here you go. Put this in your quote graphic here. This is the equivalent of like, Kyle, turn the TikTok camera on. If we can ban red dye, we can ban missed calls at the end of the games that like cause the game. All right.
We're gonna get t-shirts made with that quote. Make sure you save that quote.
I just don't like. You can't do the whole like NFL, the NBA thing all the time, but like the NFL has this figured out. All right, if there's a close call at the end of a game, they'll review it real quick. They have somebody that's like reviewing up in the box, like, hey, is this a first down? Is it not? Like, is it a catch? Is it not? And sometimes get it right, and it's like they have that part figured out of all the things that we review. And here's the thing: if they took away some of the review stuff, and it's like, you know what, it's getting too bogged down in all the things, we're gonna like wipe the review stuff at the end of the games. If they did away with it completely, then you know what, I'm actually gonna accept it a little bit tonight. But they don't, because they review so many different things in the game, and this is where we're at right now in the game of basketball. So you got to be able to review calls that you just blatant like miss. So it's tough, man. And I get it. You could do the whole thing of like Mavericks shouldn't have been there, right?
Oh, we'll
like
do that. We'll do that later. There's enough time
to
today.
All of that. Like Dinwiddie pounded the ball for, I don't know, 4 hours. So it's like, all right, yes, it's him and the goaltending, but still, it's just tough. It's tough when you lose a game like that.
It made me think about what a challenge actually is. You're not challenging what happened. You're challenging what the refs said and saw. That's what you're challenging, right?
Yeah.
You can't just challenge what happened on the play. Like you can't. It's not about the play itself. It's about the refs, and it's about them and what they called. And like this is one of the problems people have with the NBA is that so often the referees decide an outcome, a momentum swing, what teams are allowed to do during a game. And it's so frustrating that it comes down to that, but it does so many times. This is another example where we're seeing it, and it came down to it. You couldn't have just gone and reviewed it. We're allowed to review if somebody's out of bounds for like 15 minutes at a certain point, but you couldn't. What rules matter? I think that is the thing that drives me nuts sometimes on this is what rules matter and what don't.
That's the thing. It's like, you can review if Jennifer spills her popcorn on row 4, but like you can't say here
Jennifer
and like
Gardner would never.
You can't review a play that literally decides the game. And you know what I'm not here for? I'm not here for the last 2-minute report tomorrow. Don't freaking care. What do these do? And people are going to share it. And it's like last 2-minute report, shocking here, says that it should have been a goaltend. Or even, I mean, we've been waiting for the poll report, and it's like, guys, I can probably just go ahead and tell you what these refs are going to say. Whoever the head ref was in this game is going to say, yeah, we saw it after the game. It was, we missed the call, and that's on us. Well, congrats. That's a loss. Like, I'm glad it's on y'all. I'm glad you accepted it, but it doesn't change anything.
Jason Kidd after the loss. And one of the most scathing quotes from Jason Kidd I've ever seen covering him for the last, 3-4 years.
He wanted to touch the car?
We're going to get t-shirts made with that.
Okay.
Jason Kidd said, quote, "They didn't see it. That's the explanation. They didn't see it. They didn't do their job tonight. The league wants to get it right. The referees have a tough job. They clearly did not get that one right. It cost us the game. Hopefully the referees can be better in close games. No one saw the goaltend, but everybody was there." He also said, "I think the referees were scared to death to do anything, so they did nothing."
We're going to get t-shirts made with that quote.
I may get t-shirts made with that quote, Jason Kidd. They were scared to death to do anything, so they did nothing. That feels like a proverb. Like that feels like you're gonna
wait. Is he talking about the refereeing or his coaching? Oh no, I'm sorry. I couldn't remember the.
We back? Are we back?
No, I couldn't remember what he was.
I'll call slightly. I'll call slightly out of bed, and I'll call slightly to come in if we're gonna go back on that train.
No, I just couldn't remember what he was talking about there. But no, that's an incredible quote from Kidd.
I will talk about the stuff that I thought Jason Kidd didn't do right at the end of this game, and some of the reasons why the Mavs lost this. We'll get into that a little later. But man, that's a wild quote from Jason Kidd to come out and say they didn't do their jobs. They didn't do their jobs. 1, it cost us the game. 2, they were scared to death, didn't do anything. 3, they saw the goaltend, everybody was there, but everybody was there, basically saying like everyone saw it, but you guys, which is insane.
Yeah.
Okay, should they add a 4th ref? I kind of feel like they should just add a 4th ref. You need another angle, it feels like, because they're missing some of this stuff.
I don't even know if adding a person in, like another in-person thing is the answer. I think it's just a straight up like, it's kind of like the NFL stuff. They got somebody in the booth. They're watching instant replay. We can all see the instant replay so fast. The bench can see it so fast. Sweeney's over there standing up going, count it. Like he's already seen the replay on the iPad behind him. So it's just like, if we can see it, the refs should be able to see it. And yeah, and I get it too. It's like, well, what are they supposed to do as soon as the play calls? As soon as the play happens, do they just supposed to take off and all the stuff? But there was a stoppage. Like there was a foul after that, so they could have reviewed it real quick then.
But the play had moved on. That's the hard part. Is like it was a stoppage, but the play had moved on. It's like almost like possession had changed when the foul had happened. So could you even go back? And that's the hard part with it. You know who else saw it and was upset by it? Naji Marshall, who tweeted, "Might as well just play pickup and call our own fouls and calls."
I'm gonna t-shirts made with that quote.
I'm gonna draft Naji to my team and pick up.
Oh, yeah, you want him on your team so he doesn't punch you. I've heard he punches in practice. Naji's just out there.
Just give me Naji on my team. That's all
I know. I'll take him every day. Love it. Oh my God, I'm so frustrated with this, and I'm ready to. I guess I'm ready to see what the NBA does about stuff like this because it's so frustrating. Yeah, the Mavs shouldn't have been in this position, and we'll talk about why they were and all that. But the fact that it came down to, they were literally, Mavs were down by 1, and there was 1 second left, and Dinwiddie had a layup that was goaltended.
Yeah,
cost the game.
I know a lot of people saying, make the call, protest the game, and all this stuff. It would be so dang funny though is if like they do this whole thing, protest all the
They
thing.
have to play 3 seconds again.
Yeah, they do all of the stuff to play. I mean, yeah, 3
Well,
seconds.
actually, no. Okay. If they do protest it and it does get it reversed and it's a goaltend, it'd be 2 points. And then the Pelicans have to play 1 second down by 1.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mavs are up by 1. So you basically get like a heave. And it's like you do this whole
Stop.
thing.
Don't do the Max Strus thing. I'm not ready. I'm not strong.
No.
enough.
I'm just saying, I mean, yeah, like they missed the shot, but it's just like so funny that it's like if they did that to get everybody back together again, suited up, dressed, everything for like a second and a half heave. And it's like, all right, well, that's it.
Do you remember the last time the Mavs were in a position to challenge? You remember we asked Mavs PR like what they have to do to actually do this? They have to pay the league to like submit this.
It was a big
they
thing,
like
yeah.
pay them a certain amount of money. It has to get submitted through a couple different groups, and then they can actually go do it. I mean,
If you're the Pelicans, you just say, yeah, we'll just take the loss. We'd rather do that than suit this thing up for a heave.
I mean the Pelicans they play the Pelicans again in New Orleans January 29th. It's not like they
there you
play
go.
them. Yeah, just play it again then.
Instead of the opening tip off,
They-
you just
I was gonna say they've done this before in games. Didn't the Hawks do this a couple years ago where they just like played like 3 or 4 seconds before the game and then just
see,
played
that's
the other
awesome.
game?
Yeah, just do that.
It's possible, NBA. Are you happy now? I'm not. Let's fix it. Coming up, we'll tell you
Wonder why
Mav.
the ratings are down.
Don't get me started. We'll talk about why the Mavs were in this position, and we'll talk about the late game execution that led them to have to get a Dinwiddie last second shot because the Mavs should have won this game. Talk about that and more coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. Isaac, I know you're ready for the NFL action this weekend.
I am so ready.
Are you still ready for it? Do you know the spread on your beloved Baltimore Ravens game?
We'll say Ravens -1.
Ravens 1.5. Road favorites against the Bills. That's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see that one.
I'm
And
nervous.
I'm both hopeful for you, and I also hope you lose. Go check out FanDuel and see what is available for you. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. $300 in bonus bets to get you started right there. So go put down $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So if you're Isaac Harris and you love the Ravens, you think they're going to win by more than 2 points or more than 1 point, put some money down on the Ravens and get $300 in bonus bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with those bonus bets. FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Also brought to you by Skims. Isaac, you know
I love
that,
my Skims.
I was going to say, they sent us some Skims. How are your Skims fitting?
No, I love them.
I do too.
wear 'em. It's a matter of like, hey, can I get these washed more often? Like, I need to wear them.
Well, but you got to the point that I do where you're like, I kind of don't want to wear my other underwear. I want to wear the underwear that Skims sent us. And
I'm going to buy more.
So I'm going to go buy more as well. Check out Skims and check out the different kinds. I got the briefs. They feel great. They fit great. They hold their shape. You love it. I love that the elastic band also doesn't feel like it, constricts, or it doesn't feel like it cuts into you or anything like that. I love that part of it.
No,
Check
it
out
doesn't.
Skims and see what is available for you. They have fit, comfort, just finding the right style. Shop Skims men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. They have Skims stores.
Maybe. I will say that my
Skims
wife really likes
stores.
mine.
Skims stores, Dallas. I think they do have them. They have them at Nordstrom. Isaac, what are you doing on Saturday? Let's go get some Skims. Go check them out.
I'll be with you on Saturday.
Skims men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. This is a daily Dallas Mavericks show. We'll also do every single post game here for you. We also have the postcast with Jeff Biggs, who's the instant reaction. So that's on our audio feed, as well as the Locked On Sports Dallas YouTube channel. If you want instant reaction, we were a little late coming to this one, but Jeff was right there, got it for you live on Locked On Sports Dallas YouTube channel. Go check out that. And yeah, check the QR code and the links in the description for more ways to follow our show. All right, Isaac. The Mavs shouldn't have been in this position. For all the ranting and raving that I did at the beginning of the show, I should be ranting and raving about the Mavericks and where they were, because, man, the late game execution again hurt the Dallas Mavericks in this one. You start from 5 minutes left. The Mavs had 6 minutes left. Mavs had a 7-point lead. So multiple possession lead at this point. And 7 points is nothing in the NBA. So I'm not upset that they lost a 7-point lead. I'm more disappointed what happened after that point.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
You're the dad, so you can say that. You're allowed to. Dinwiddie, switch against Yves Missi. Dribble, missed a three. Then, possession after that, Dinwiddie, switch, got Yves Missi on him again, the rookie center for the Pelicans. He drove and he scored on him. Mavs were up 107-104. Then, DeJounte Murray was just on fire at the end of this game. Murray hit a three. Then, another possession. Dinwiddie, switch, Missi, dribble, missed a three again. It's like 3 times in a row they did this. He drove once, scored, took two threes without passing anybody else, without moving the ball at all, and missed these shots. And it felt like it happened again and again. Then you get a Klay three that was huge with 3:22 left. That was a good play. Yeah. Then you get a Klay drive and finish. That was a massive play.
Lefty.
Huge, massive.
Big time.
You get that finish. Then you get the Klay drive spin fadeaway, 2:06 left. Great.
Can we just say real quick, those Klay buckets were just massive. Like
huge.
The vet, clutch moments, clutch Klay, just saying, hey, let me give this. Now, it was kind of like fool's gold a little bit.
It led to something.
But I put actually the blame on Kidd more than Klay on that.
100%. I'm with you. Walk with me. The Klay drive spin fadeaway. 2 minutes left. The Mavericks are up by 3. Then you get a minute 23. Dinwiddie just pounds the ball again. Mavs shot clock violation. What are we doing? That's 4 plays in the last 4 minutes that I just talked about where Dinwiddie's just
Why are you walking me back through this?
Just pounding the rock because I had to go through it, and you also get to go through it with me. Then Murray airballs the ball on the other end. So you're like, all right, opportunity for the Mavericks.
Great shot. PJ
then passes to Klay, who takes a contested corner three. I thought it was an awful shot. 16 seconds left on the shot clock. Don't need that. You don't need that. But it went out of bounds. Mavericks got the ball back. Just for Dinwiddie to turn around and throw this wild turnaround floater shot. It wasn't even a turnaround jumper. It's like a turnaround floater. That one didn't go in. Then you get Javonte Green hits a three. Dallas was playing chase. Their defense wasn't great. Down by 2. All right. So you squandered all these offensive possessions. Got a couple of good Klay plays. 43 seconds left. Mavs called timeout. 1 left. And then what is Jason Kidd draw up Isaac Harris?
That's what he draws up every time, man. It's like I even started to make the meme of like the guy that's sweating with like the 2 buttons, and it's like hit isolation at the end of the games or literally anything else in the offensive playbook. And it's like love Klay, love all the Klay, clutch moments there. I was more upset with the decision for the quick 3. Like it was almost like a heat check 3, but in the clutch moments there in the corner that he missed. Then I was the ISO out because I'm like, Klay's just not the ISO guy. Like I'm not at the end of the game on that high, like where he was at on the floor. Like if you're giving Klay like coming off a pin down or something, or he's catching the ball at the the elbow, and it's like, all right, make a decision. He's a good passer, stuff in the paint, and it's like, but that's just like, I feel like they fall into their defined. I mean, this is something we talked about back in the Carlisle days. I feel like they fall into their defined roles way too much, not by player, but by position. And it's just like Klay isn't Kyrie or Luka in that moment. Dinwiddie is not Luka. Just because you're playing the clutch moment as the point guard does not mean that you have the same leash or same like playbook and everything as a Luka Doncic. And the same thing goes for Klay. It was almost like I was watching like, Luka and Kyrie out there, but it was like, it's Dinwiddie and Klay, and it's like Klay's not Kyrie when it comes to ISO and out, but it was like, but you are the guy right now, so here you go. And that's the type of stuff where
there's a level that we talked about after the first loss to the Nuggets the other night, where at a certain point in the end of an NBA game, it does have to just come down to isolation ball because the defense is set. You're not going to get as many advantages. You're not going to catch teams off guard often unless it's a backdoor cut against the Mavs.
I think who you have on the floor though in your team makeup determines that.
Yeah, and you need more attackers. You needed guys out there that could drive, that could finish, and that could create some opportunities and create some advantages for you. And I don't think they tried to take advantage of any. I don't think they tried to take advantage of any advantages they could have created. Did that make any sense?
Yeah,
going through this. Kind of. And I was so frustrated in Kidd calling that ISO. Klay basically ISO'd on CJ McCollum. The ball goes out of bounds. That was the challenge the Pelicans made. It was a successful one from them. But it's because Klay was put in a bad situation.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like it wasn't just that play. I mean, how much did we see from Dinwiddie, before that when you were walking through the possessions where like there were some possessions where Dinwiddie's just pounding the rock for 12, 15, I mean, these like that's just not That's not what you. Yeah.
And you know what they didn't do in any of those possessions? Did I mention Gafford's name one time? Like he set the screens to get Messi on the switch, but like then they didn't involve him at all. He scored 27 points in this game. You got to involve. He had an advantage against this Pelicans team. We said it yesterday that we said, all right, Gafford had a bad game against Nuggets. Pelicans, that's a one where he should have a good game. And boom, 27-12. We'll talk about him. But they didn't involve him at all. Like try something. Try pick and roll. Try throw it down to him. Something. This was a game where you should do that. This is not a team that has a big center or something where Gafford doesn't have an advantage or isn't good because they have good help defenders or big long help defenders. I guess Trey Murphy is one, but Gafford had an advantage there, and the Mavs didn't try to utilize it. And so that's why I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated in Jason Kidd for the play call. I'm frustrated in what Dinwiddie decided to do at the end of this game. In so many instances, it wasn't just one or two possessions. This is how many did I rattle off right there? It was like 5 or 6 at the end of this game. Very frustrating. The refs obviously, screwed the Mavs out of the end of this, but the Mavs dug their own, they dug it themselves and they sat down in it, and then the refs just poured the dirt back over them.
In a game without Luka and Kyrie, I want the ball in the third best ball handler's hands on the team, and that's Naji Marshall.
Naji?
And I mean, dude had 10 assists tonight. He can he can make the right play. Run a pick and roll with him and Gafford, and put Klay in the corner. Put Dinwiddie out on the wing, and whoever else you have on the floor, and then just hey, go do the thing. Without Luka and Kyrie, that's the type of thing. Love Klay in his role with Luka and Kyrie. I think he's had a good season, all the stuff. But Klay at the top of the key with no pick and anything, doesn't matter who he's going against, who the player is guarding. That's just not something you're trying to run.
Coming up, let's talk about Gafford. I want to end on some positives because I thought Gafford had a great game. Thought Hardy did some great things. Talk about that and more coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Robinhood. Go check out Robinhood.com because Robinhood is exactly what you need. With Robinhood Gold, you now enjoy the VIP treatment of receiving a 3% IRA match with retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. That's right. It's high. The perks of a high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% matching requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC member FSIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, let's end here on somewhat of a positive note. Let's talk about Daniel Gafford. The advantage the Mavs had in this game that they didn't take advantage of at the end of this was Daniel Gafford, 27 points, 12 boards, 2 blocks, couple of assists, 12 of 13 from the field. It felt like the Gafford of old. We spent a lot of time on yesterday's show after the second Nuggets loss talking about didn't feel like Gafford's been the same this year. There's just been something missing. There's been some kind of fire missing. There's been some kind of, fight in him missing. There's something that he's just not getting the same kind of games that he's had. And he's had a couple of good ones this season, obviously. But in this last stretch or so, it just didn't seem like he was the same guy. He's getting pushed around, it felt like. But this one came back, bounced back against a team he should have been good at. Yves Messi is not a big center. He's probably 6'9". And he took advantage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think life is easier and more enjoyable when he's playing with Luka Doncic. And they traded for him to bring him in here to play with Luka. And Luka just makes his life so much easier, right? Like, I mean, he plays with Luka. He's catching lobs left and right. He's catching the ball underneath the basket. We're hearing all the stats about him leading the league in field goal percentage and all the stuff. He's smiling. He's enjoying it. It keeps him more engaged on the defensive end and all the stuff. Well, when Luka's out, yeah, they're catching him for lobs. Like Hardy found him, he had the massive one-hand, lob tonight, which is insane. But, Luka's missed a lot of time this year. And that's the player you bring Gafford in to play with is a Luka Doncic. So even missing, a Kyrie in this game too. So that's the thing. It's tough. You look across the roster right now and you're like, who's playing not really out of position? I don't know really what to call it. it's a little bit out of position, but like not to their.
They're being asked to do more than what should be expected of them.
Yeah, it's like almost with the exception of like Dinwiddie and Hardy, like their roles are pretty much the same, even when Kyrie and Luka come back. But it's like you think of everybody else, and it's about how they fit around really Luka, but Luka and Kyrie too. And you think about Klay, you think about even PJ, you think about Gafford, you think about these guys that's like they brought in. Here's the path that you stay on whenever you're with Luka and Kyrie. Well, now those guys are out, so they're asking me. Klay's got to create a little bit more, or maybe Gafford's got to do a little bit more on offense. And so, and Gafford's difficult for me. Okay. I love the like energy. I love the yells. I love the dunks. It's like for every like play above the rim that I love. And it's like, man, I love that how much you play above the rim and I love your energy and stuff. I'm also like frustrated at times too, because I'm like, you should be a better rebounder than what you are. Or I get frustrated because it does feel like he's disengaged sometimes defensively, or he doesn't go after something, or he falls down all the time. And I'm like, why can't you stay on your feet? And it's just like, so it's like it's kind of like both and for me with Gafford. Of I get super hyped for him, and I think they need him, and he's this bigger body, he's different than Lively, but also I get frustrated at the same time.
Yeah. But I got frustrated on him yesterday. And I think today, he responded to a lot of those things, right? I thought he was fighting for rebounds. You didn't see him fall as much, still fell a couple times, but didn't feel like it was as much. And I thought he responded in a really good way for all the criticism and all the bad games that he's had recently. This was massive. They needed a center. They needed a center to give them an advantage in a game like this against a team that doesn't really have centers, and go for it. And he did.
Yeah. And I thought him and Hardy played well off each other in the first half. I mean, you can make a case that the first half for Jaden Hardy was the best half of his entire career. I mean, I thought he played remarkable.
19 points, 6 of 9 shooting.
Nice.
4 of 5 from 3, couple of assists. It's a good half.
Yeah, and even looking at the third quarter, it's like I know Dinwiddie, hit a couple threes there in the third and did more like statistically, but Hardy was like a plus 13, plus 14 in the third. He had his moments there. Like I just thought Hardy played a pretty good overall game, and one of those dudes that like you just got to have people step up on offense when Kyrie and Luka's out. But it was like the him and Gafford show in the first half, and I was like, all right, here we go. We're just gonna ride these two guys.
And then the Mavs thought that they would lean on Klay and Dinwiddie to end it, and it just didn't pan out for them.
Quentin Grimes, I thought he had some cool moments in the third.
How many shots do you think Hardy took in the second half?
Second half, it didn't feel like as much the first, so I'll just say a lower number, like 5 or something.
4.
Wow. Huh. Man, Quentin Grimes too. It's like, man, I want more. I've seen different people's like, why is it Grimes in over Dinwiddie? It's like, well, they kind of just
it's different.
View Dinwiddie as this like kind of third point guard, which I think you can do that with Naji. Yeah, like I could actually like see that of like, hey, just put Naji at point and put Grimes in over Dinwiddie. But Dinwiddie also had those moments too in the third where they were huge for the team and stuff. So it was tough. But I did like Quentin Grimes's his aggression there in the third. I liked him driving to the basket. He got some fouls, going to the basket, hit some big shots. Just would love to see it more consistently.
And Dinwiddie had a great run there too. I mean, Dinwiddie wasn't like awful in this game. I don't think he was asked to do a lot, but the Mavs went on that 17-4 run in the third quarter that got them the lead. They didn't have it since the very beginning of the first quarter, but Dinwiddie hit back-to-back threes. He had a steal and a score. Then you mentioned those 2 plays by Grimes that got him the lead. And I thought that was massive, and they were both a huge part of that run.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was huge there in the third. And I think the story, one of the stories of the game for me is this defense. Like, you give up 119 points to this Pelicans team that is missing Ingram, missing Zion. Like, there's probably somebody else I'm just like not thinking of the top of my head.
Herb Jones, but
whatever. Future Mav. But
Nico was there tonight. Should I do it?
Let's go. The Pelicans are 26th in the league in points per game at 108 points. They scored 119. They scored above their average tonight. They're one of the worst like scoring teams in the league, and they didn't have their two best players, and you still let them score 119 points, 63 points in the first half. Like, you just got to play better defense. And if we're gonna sit here and say Luka and Kyrie, they're the defensive, the weakest defensive, guys in the rotation, then you know what you should be really good at when those guys are not playing? Defense.
Well,
like you should hang your hat on. You know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to work our butts off and be a really good defensive team, be super stingy and have a ton of energy on the defensive end. And then it's like, I could kind of understand the offense kind of struggling, but defense, come on.
Well, you saw who's out.
Lively.
Derek Lively. I mean, that's what they missed defensively. 15 offensive rebounds for the Pelicans, only 8 for the Mavericks. Mavs had 15 turnovers. The Pelicans turned it into 24 points. I mean, there's just things all over the place where you're looking like, 60. I guess the Mavs had 60 points in the paint. Pelicans only had 46. That was good. But
Lively had his entry, the other night, and I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me.
It just is that kind of season.
It's that kind of season, but like, thank God, like none of them's like season ending. It's just these like random like ones here and there. It's like, oh, here you go. You're going to miss, weeks or so, or it's just, it's just annoying. It's just annoying right now.
You know what it is?
What is it?
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, at least we have a bounce back easy opponent on Friday.
Who is that, Isaac?
OKC.
I thought we were going to end on a positive note. Instead, we're going to talk about the Mavs schedule the next couple of days. Mavs play home against OKC. Great. Excellent. Isaiah Hartenstein's going to be out for that game, though. So it's OKC Smalls.
I mean, we're missing Luka and they're missing Hartenstein.
And maybe Lively. I don't know. We'll see what happens with him.
Oh, please.
Mavs play an 11 a.m. game against Charlotte on Monday because it's MLK Day. But that one's not bad. Then they play Minnesota. Then they play OKC again. Then they play Boston. I mean, this next stretch is just really tough. So stick with us on Locked On Mavs, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. We'll have every single post game covered for you. We have 5 days a week as well. All kinds of different ways to follow the show. Check the link in the description as well as the QR code. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Dallas Mavericks.
Peace out.
Boom. Slightly easy to say something smart here. So.